Hey guys, Dale here, and happy New Year's Eve. I wanted to close out the year with a little bit of a channel update. So we'll do a little 2023 recap, a little 2024 preview, and then we'll talk about some things that are happening this year. So, man, where did we come from? So this year has all coalesced into the series that we're currently running through, and I think the finale is pretty imminent, either here in the next day or two with Shatterpoint. But we started the year in April, kind of reviving the YouTube channel, just like reviving my interest in um, putting together RimWorld storytelling with the Star Wars The Mandalorian series. From there, we kind of stood up placeholder series as like a little break in between series for me to kind of plan and assemble a new mod pack. Right after placeholder series, I was still on like a huge Star Wars kick. And to be honest, I am always on a huge Star Wars kick. So we did Star Wars Return of the Sith. And I have a hard time playing the bad guys, so I know I wasn't as like dark and twisty as I could have been. I think a lot of the dark and twisty was me just kind of like narratively explaining what I think is going to be happening with the story. I think probably the most evil things we did were when Ezreal or Darth Brood was in charge. He enslaved a child who became a fan favorite colonist, Rad. Everyone kind of remarked that at the end of this series, it felt like the prequel to Rad's story. And I really felt that way too. And so I am curious as to what is going on with our Sith Lords, but I'm even more curious to kind of like figure out what's going to happen with Rad. Uh, After Star Wars Return of the Sith, we came back to placeholder series before doing Viking Wolf, and Medieval RimWorld is one of my favorite ways to play. I always get really excessive with the base design though. I always want to design like a tiny village. I end up designing a huge city. I really love the base design that we put together for Viking Wolf for Nesvek. And it was fun to play werewolves. It was so stressful though. I was so bad at playing werewolves. Our werewolves did more damage to us than the rabid werewolves that were coming to visit us every blood moon. And so that's definitely a learning opportunity for me still. And it's still a really neat colony that I want to go back and revisit. After Viking Wolf and more placeholder series, we did Project Lita, and this is something that I'd been looking forward to because the Rim Effect mods just look so good. The armors are great, the biotic abilities, the Omni tools, the mechanic for the Reaper invasions, which we had tuned way down because I was so terrified of them. All just like a really, really awesome set of mods. And so that was really fun to play. From there, we did placeholder series again, I think, and then Deserters, which Deserters has been my favorite story of the year. Being able to put that together and just have a lot of mods just kind of like line up and align for this playthrough to come together as well as it did and be really like on theme was exceptional. Like as soon as Deserters mods came out, I was like, how am I going to make that a rebel cell of some sort? Or in, I guess, the timeline that we're working with, this is post the fall of the Galactic Republic. And so really this is like kind of legacy rebels that are out on the fringes of, you know, the galaxy that are still dealing with these galactic remnants that are running rampant, right? And so the Outer Rim series of mods, amazing. Another mod author created a Outer Rim skin for the Empire. And then a few days into playing this, Conan the Civilian from the Steam Workshop created 3 mods, the Star Wars Rethemes mods that really just kind of like polished off the theme and made them Star Wars. like big call outs to Conan the Civilian, really great mods. And I was so floored by that. That was something that I did not expect for a mod author to kind of like reach out and say, "Hey, I've been watching, and I think these will kind of like polish some of your tweaks off." And that sounds really awkward, but you know what I mean. The story itself, though, I was really excited to be able to incorporate Rad into this story and Asha. Asha had so much loss in the Mandalorians that to me it made sense that she would kind of leave that covert and just kind of like try and figure out what it is that she wants, needs, can be, can have. And I feel like she found a lot of that in this colony. Like, she lost children, she'd lost spouses, um, and here she found new love. Here she became like critical, as an armor smith, like Mandalorian armor smith in a Mandalorian colony. That is less unique than a Mandalorian armor smith on the Outer Rim, crafting armor pieces for, these insurgents, these rebels, these people that want to take back their world from, uh, a post-empire threat. And so I think she really found her place with the deserters, and I'm really happy for her. Rad, I didn't expect getting into a relationship and having kids. And then our rebels, of course, happened to like turn into some of my favorite characters as well. Harlock and Armella. I didn't expect them to get together, but as soon as they did, I knew I wanted a purple Wookiee, and I can't believe we ended up with one. I also can't believe that we ended up with a Twi'lek colored Wookiee and a Wookiee colored Twi'lek. Just the symmetry there, so satisfying. The thing that I didn't expect about this series was showing us lose our base, like getting our base glassed. I thought that I would be really careful and I would pay attention to it, but I got caught up and we panicked basically. I had so much panic when we got that notification that our base was being glassed, and I was like, okay, we need to reduce our threat. That was like my first instinct. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, if we can find a way to survive this and to recover from this, it would be really cool to see the mechanic play out. And so I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to show that in the story. I think it fit with the theme and the world that we were trying to build there, that the rebels would suffer a devastating loss like that and have to rebuild and come back and end up victorious. So, there's a lot of like, I feel like filler in there, from, us hitting that point where our base is getting glassed to our base actually getting glassed. Cause I was just so panicked in the moment. But I really like the way that story ended up. And it's definitely my favorite story so far. Arwinden is, I think one of my favorite bases that I've ever built. I feel like there's a lot more detail work that I could have done, but we harvested so many trees at the end of the series. We picked up something like 250 trees and planted them throughout that base. And so kind of like getting into the details of individual buildings was a little exhausting in my mind after that, but I really like the way that I wanted to do a classical theme, and I feel like we pulled it off, but I also wanted to do nature, dryad, nature spirit stuff, and we're able to kind of bring the outdoors indoors. Huge thanks to the like invisible wall mod. It ended up exceeding my expectations, and the families that emerged from that story, that is one of my favorite ways to play RimWorld. We did kind of like a tour of the separate families and the different relationships towards the end of the series. Maybe I think it might have been the season finale, actually. And just the fact that there were so many different families and so many relationships between those families, that is the type of game that I would want to just play like perpetually. I would play that game until the game was completely like broken and obliterated and wouldn't start anymore, to see how many generations we could get and to see what it would look like. Okay, so we'll take a peek at the backlog real quick. This is something I post in the Discord occasionally. It's something I think I've posted on our community page in different iterations, but you can see like highlighted in green are the series that we have completed or are currently ongoing, like Shatterpoint. Outlined in white are just ideas. And so, like, Bloodborne Coven, we started. It was kind of difficult switching back and forth between the different mod packs and the config files and all that stuff from like me recording and from the Twitch stream. But I have that figured out. So I do want to get back into streaming this year. I do want to reboot Bloodborne Coven because there are some mods that have come up and there's some ideas about how we do our vampire that I just want to change. But I kind of aligned these according to IPs and just like story connections that I do want to make. And so upcoming is Clones versus Droids, our clone story. And we're going to have some threads from this series that run to The Mandalorian, run to Jedi Survivors, and these will end up being kind of prequels-ish, like not direct prequels, but they'll be story threads that will be prequels to The Mandalorians and Return of the Sith. And then I don't think the Neo-Sith Empire story is the end of the Star Wars stories that I want to do. I see this as us revisiting what's going on in Return of the Sith. So I'm not sure if this connection is right. Like that connection might be right. And tentatively, there might be like a Deserters connection. I feel like there will be a follow-up to the Neo-Sith Empire that is more grounded in what has been created in Deserters. And hopefully is... more the goal is to give Rad some resolution, where this is just continuing storytelling from Darth Decan and that Sith Empire that we stood up. For Project Lita, we stood up our caster colony. I always assumed that Lita would have 4 missions to kind of go along with the Greek mythology of Lita having 4 children. And so Pollux is a series that I want to do that'll be Save Our Ship 2 space combat focused, but I need to learn more about shipbuilding and mechanics and the quests and all that other stuff. We did launch a ship at the end of Caster, and I think that we would revisit that, maybe modify it, and do a space run, basically. And then I'm not sure what Nestra and Helen would be. I know that I want to do an Asari colony. I know I want to do a Drell colony. I don't know if these end up being connected here to Project Lita, or if they just end up being kind of like standalone Mass Effect stories, but we can figure that out. Viking Wolf, I have a plan for. I want to take that original save file, all my configs, the mods that I have stored somewhere. I want to start that colony back up. I want to increase our tech level to industrial, or our ability to research industrial technology, and then update some of the factions on that existing world to industrial. We wouldn't stay in the already built base. I think we would take a group of settlers and kind of make it a little bit more Western industrial theme. We want to stick close to our Viking heritage, so we'll try and figure out what that looks like as that series goes on. But these would be new settlers from that colony. They would have, werewolf lineage. They would be related to our original colonists, or some of our original colonists, potentially. And yeah, we would do some kind of mashup of Viking and Western in an industrial world. And then at some point, I want to take that industrial colony and do the same thing, have settlers, upgrade the world to have spacer factions, upgrade our ability to be able to research spacer technology, and just kind of like take that through the ages in multiple series, I guess. But yeah, we will see when we can get to that. And then who knows when we'll get to any of these. And these could end up being mashed up. Like Arwen Den was a mashup of two ideas from here. It was like, I want to do Vanilla Factions Expanded Classical, and I want to do Vanilla Expanded Dryads, like the anima theme. And so that's how we ended up with Arwen Den. Who knows? Maybe we end up with like Dune Vampire Slayers or a Zombie Stargate, but we'll figure that out when we get to it. For a little bit more detail, click in on what we're going to do this year. Like upcoming pretty immediately is Star Wars Clones versus Droids and Droids versus Clones. So, the Clones versus Droids series is going to be a YouTube series in the regular format that we typically have. I'm going to switch over to just posting Monday to Friday for our main series. That way I can like take a break on the weekend. For me, doing this during the week is kind of an unwind from my workday, and it's very like relaxing, sometimes cathartic. But doing it on the weekend can be a little rough because I'm already kind of relaxed. And so trying to make space to like do a thing just because I'm supposed to do a thing doesn't make it feel as like relaxing as when I do it during the week. The other thing that I want to do is I do want to start streaming a bit more. Or streaming. I streamed like 3 times last year. And so what I think I'll do is I'll reserve some of my weekend time for streaming. And we will have a series that is ongoing as a Twitch YouTube stream. I'll edit it down and we'll figure out when it's good to like post the edited down content. But we'll start real simple. Same mod pack, but 2 different sides. So for YouTube, we'll do Clones versus Droids. And then for YouTube and Twitch streaming, we'll do Droids versus Clones. And so Blue Dot, early 2024, basically the beginning. Mid 2024, I think that's when we'll try and figure out doing Viking Wolf Western Conquest and our Jedi Survivor series. End of 2024, or by the end of 2024, we'll figure out doing our Sith Empire series. And then tentatively, we'll revisit our Mass Effect universe. And so that feels like a lot already. Depending on how quickly the stream goes, like potentially there'll be other stream series. Maybe we'll bring back Bloodborne Coven, the reboot, as a stream series. And potentially there'll be other mainline series as well, because this past year we were able to do 8. With the Monday to Friday posting, like maybe we won't get 8 full series out, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like we'll end up with like 6 or 7. And so maybe for those other couple of series, we'll revisit what I'd done previously and just like put some polls up on YouTube and see what kind of series you guys want me to put together. And highest vote will take it. So I think that's it for now. If you guys are celebrating the New Year's tonight, be safe, have fun, and Happy New Year. Bye.